The night they took Obiora. It happened 20 years ago, but even now I can still hear the drums. Their beat was heavy, deep, and deliberate, like the earth itself was trembling. I was just a boy then, no older than 14. My father had sent me to the palace with a basket of yams for the king. It was a task I hated. The palace always felt heavy, as if the air itself carried the weight of secrets. That night, the moon hung low and red, casting a dull glow over the compound. The king, Igwe Omenka, was hosting the annual Omabi festival. The entire village was there, their faces painted in the sacred chalk of celebration. But this wasn't the celebration of joy or unity we were told about as children. It was something darker, something wrong. I had just handed over the yams to one of the palace guards when I noticed Obiora, my childhood friend. He was standing near the sacred hut of Nkemdi, the chief priest. His face was pale and his hands trembled as he clutched a calabash. He wasn't supposed to be there. None of us were. That part of the palace was forbidden to anyone but the king and the chief priest. Obiora, I whispered, tugging at his arm. What are you doing here? Before he could answer, the chief priest himself stepped out from the shadows. Nkemdi was a towering man with a face that seemed carved from stone. His red eyes bored into us, and his voice was low like a growl. You shouldn't be here, boy, he said, his gaze fixed on Obiora. Obiora stammered, trying to explain, but Nkomdi waved him silent. Then he turned to me. Go, now. Fear gripped me, and I ran without looking back. Later that night, as the festival reached its peak, the drums grew louder. The villagers gathered in the main square, their voices rising in chants I didn't understand. The king sat on his throne, a distant smile on his face. Nkemdi stood beside him, holding a staff carved with strange symbols. Then they brought Obiora forward. He was bound, his head shaved, and his eyes wild with terror. The villagers cheered, but I couldn't understand why. Obiora hadn't done anything wrong. He was just a boy like me. Nkemdi raised his staff, and the crowd fell silent. The gods demand balance, he said, his voice carrying over the square. To ensure our harvest, to protect our children, a life must be given. My heart sank. I wanted